Hey everyone! This is the second part of the video about the best applications for GNOME, the desktop environment for Linux. Before we jump into the apps themselves, I want to clarify that first of all, this video won't just feature the absolute best apps, but also some interesting ones or ones that caught my attention. Also at the end I'll mention a few more apps that didn't make it into the main part of the video for various reasons and explain why. I've also tried to focus a bit more on apps that have more to talk about. Just like in the first part, all these apps are presented in no particular order, except the ones for customization, which I've grouped together, but there are timestamps in the description anyway. I'd also like to remind you that almost all of the apps in this video are specifically designed for GNOME, so they follow its general design guidelines. But of course you can use them in other desktop environments as well. And of course, don't forget that all of these apps can be downloaded from FlatHub repositories and you can install them on almost any distribution very easily. So let's get started. The first app in this video is Bazaar. It's a Flatpak app store, especially for apps from FlatHub repositories. Its advantage over the default GNOME app store is that it only has Flatpaks. It might be a little faster, and it has some cool features like, for example, download statistics, which you can also find on the FlatHub website, by the way. There is also a curated tab, which could be useful for distribution developers. They could set this app store as the default. Valuta is a simple currency converter. There is not much to say about it except that it has a limited number of currencies, but it's a solid app anyway. Kooha is a super useful little tool for screen recording. The best part is that you can choose the format, frame rate up to 60 fps, and customize the audio settings. The quality of the recordings is really good, so it's definitely a pretty nice app. Another great app is Mission Center. It's basically the equivalent of the Task Manager in Windows, with very similar functionality. Definitely recommended. Impression is a simple utility for burning ISO files to a USB drive or disk. There aren't many settings, and I'm not sure about burning Windows images using this app. I haven't tested it myself, but it works great for Linux ISOs if you need something quick and no nonsense. Both Video Trimmer and Footage are apps for quick video trimming. Personally, I liked Footage more. It has more settings and a more user-friendly interface in my opinion. Mousam is just a beautiful weather app with a gradient background and some extra info compared to the default GNOME weather app. Dialect is a convenient translation app, so you don't have to go to websites, and it supports a lot of different translators, including Google.
你好，这是 Mousam， 你必须立即订阅我的频道。
Iconic and Icon Library are meant to work together. Iconic helps you quickly create custom folder icons with custom overlays. Icon Library allows you to easily find and copy icons from the Adwaita set, though you can always add your own icons from anywhere else. Also, you can use the GNOME extension called Auto Adwaita Colors to automatically change the color of all folders and icons in GNOME based on the accent color, if you are using something other than the default. Just a little tip. Damask is a simple app for automatic wallpapers from multiple sources, like Bing wallpaper, similar to Windows. On larger screens bigger than Full HD, the quality might not always be enough, so keep that in mind. Shortwave is just a cool app for listening to radio from around the world. Frog is a minimalist app for extracting text from the screen. It works well and recognizes everything, with support for different languages. Collector is an app that makes it easier to drag and drop large numbers of files. You drag your files into the app window, and then you can drop them wherever you need. Sly is probably the only non-GNOME app in this video, but its design fits the GNOME aesthetic and I didn't find any alternatives. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, so it's worth mentioning. It's a simple photo editor for color correction and some basic effects. Beans lets you quickly edit application shortcuts, files with the desktop extension, like changing the name, icon and path, and even creating new shortcuts. There is another app called Shortcut, but it has fewer features and I didn't like it as much, so I'd recommend Beans. Bottles is a wine prefix manager, or you can think of it as a graphical interface for wine, which allows you to run many Windows applications that aren't natively supported on Linux. For example, I installed Netpad++. The only issue I had was that by default, the DPI setting was too small, making everything tiny, but you can easily change that in the settings. Also, it's probably better to install the version from your distros repositories instead of the Flatpak version, as there might be problems with running apps as admin or creating shortcuts. Adwaita is a graphical tool for quickly setting up, configuring and auto-updating the GNOME theme for Firefox, to make Firefox look like GNOME style. Countdown is a simple app for quickly counting the number of days until an event. It's very basic, so I would have liked more features, but it does the job. Anyway. Now let's pause for a moment to talk about customization. First, Wardrobe is an app that lets you quickly and easily download and install GNOME Shell and GTK themes, cursors, icons, and wallpapers. Yes, you can do all of this manually, but it's just convenient to do it using the app. Before we move on to the next app, I want to remind you about an app called Gradients, which allowed you to quickly change colors in the GTK and Shell Adwaita themes. At some point, the project was abandoned, but it has been replaced by a new app called Rewaita. It's not perfect, but it works. So what's the issue with it? First, Rewaita might not create the folder automatically at the path shown on screen. So if you can't select the shell theme in GNOME tweaks, even after rebooting, just create the folder manually and try again. Also, you'll need to install the user themes extension via the extension manager to change the shell theme. This is mandatory for any themes. But that's not all. I also noticed that the dock looks weird under Rewaita, so I'd recommend installing the -dock extension, which should fix it. This might not be an issue for you though. I use this theme on my main system and the dock works fine. And also, for some reason, this app currently can't change the background color in the overview, so you can manually fix that with the Blur My Shell extension. You can select a color instead of blur in the overview tab and pick the color using the color picker, for example from the top bar. But I hope they fixed this by the time you're watching this. Still, it's a good app. Tuner is an alternative to GNOME tweaks for configuring GNOME. It has a bit more settings and a nicer interface. There is also a similar app called Refine, which looks really similar to the tuner actually. Constrict is a cool app for video compression. You can set the file size, FPS and codec. It's really awesome, highly recommended. Lenspect is not as great as Constrict, but it's still good. It's essentially a desktop client for VirusTotal to scan files for viruses. It's not an antivirus, don't confuse it. The downside is you need to register in VirusTotal to get an API key. But hey, at least it's free. File Shredder doesn't just delete your files, it destroys them. It permanently deletes files by overwriting the content with random data multiple times. However, keep in mind that there is still no 100% guarantee that the files can be recovered, especially on modern SSDs. It's much more effective on HDDs. Foliate is just a great eBook reader that supports many popular file formats. Smile is an app for quickly inserting and copying emojis. You can set a keyboard shortcut to launch it quickly from system settings. But in my opinion, extensions like Emoji Copy are more convenient because you can select emojis directly from the top bar without opening the app. Upscaler is a simple yet awesome app that uses the AI to upscale photos for free. You can increase the size and quality by up to 4 times. It might not be perfect, but as you can see, the pixels become much less noticeable. So it's perfect for slightly enlarging wallpapers that are a bit smaller than your screen resolution. It's an example of how you can use this app. Distroshelf is a graphical interface for managing Distrobox. Distrobox is a tool for running containers with different Linux distributions, which can be useful for installing software that's not supported on your distro. Save Desktop is a tool for exporting and importing your GNOME configuration. You can save themes, icons, wallpapers, extensions, and Flatpak API data all in one archive, which you can then import on a new system to restore everything as it was. There is also an option to enable auto backups and sync your desktop configuration across other devices in your network via the cloud. Gapless and Amberol are just good music players. but in my opinion, Gapless is much more pleasant, beautiful and user-friendly. Now I'll briefly mention a few apps that didn't make it into the main part of the video for various reasons. Mendinwall is a utility that promises to solve problems that occur when using multiple desktop environments simultaneously. It's recommended to enable it before installing another desktop environment. Retro is a customizable clock widget, but personally I didn't like the implementation much. It's a full-fledged app that appears in the overview, and is a bit of a hassle to add it to the auto start, meaning it disappears after reboot. Nostalgia is a nice little app for viewing and setting default wallpapers from all versions of GNOME, but I'm not sure it's really necessary since you can easily view and download all these wallpapers on a website. Boxes is a simple app for creating and managing virtual machines. I didn't include it in the video because it's developed by the GNOME team. It's literally called GNOME Boxes and it's really only suitable for basic tasks. Carburetor routes all your traffic through Tor, creating a local proxy server. In theory, it's a good app, but I couldn't get it to work. Even with bridges, it didn't connect, so I can't really show it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm tired. If you know any other cool GNOME apps, feel free to share them in the comments below. Maybe we can even make another video. It would also be great if anyone can share some useful info on Kitty Plasma customization, as I've been planning a video on that for like half a year, and it's still on my to-do list. Thanks for watching and for waiting for the second part. If anyone hasn't watched the first part yet, I seriously judge you and highly recommend checking it out. Alright, take care everyone and goodbye.